Well, guess what time it is? Yeah, it's time to get rolling. Hey, welcome to the pre-show for everybody who's here. That pre-show that rolls for about 4.5 minutes before we start the live show over on Odyssey Radio. That's when I'll introduce us when we get there. Let me move this back just a little bit. Boom. All right. So you can see I am in the studio of the North, the North Woods studio up near Pequot Lakes, up at Pequot Lakes, as a matter of fact. So doing some work over here. So we're just getting all set up for now. Let me start the recording for tomorrow's archive show that plays over at Odyssey Radio. And let me start the live stream. There we go. It just hooks us into the live stream, which grabs this broadcast at 4 minutes and 25 seconds past the hour. So, hey, Leslie, how you doing? Sarah Yusuf, need a group of ladies for the after show. Are you volunteering, Sarah? I haven't got anybody to come in yet. Rainey can't do it. She is absolutely exhausted. I talked to her about 7 o'clock this evening, about 2 hours ago, and she was ready to go to bed then. So she was getting all the kids to bed by 8 o'clock, she said, and tired out, so she can't join us. So Sarah, you can join us. I'll sign you on. So, hey, Matthew Sainsbury, how you doing? And Steve Clark, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. And who else is in here so far? We got me. I'm here. Hey, Scotty. Uncle Dave is here. Morgan Snow. We got 2 minutes before we go live. And I think that's everybody I see so far anyway. Donna Renee Ivy from Pensacola, Florida, as they say down in Florida. Florida. Hail, Florida. No, 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 no. Hey, Roger Rabbit. Good to see you as well. So I think we're all set. We're just killing a little time. If the microphone sounds weird, for those of you that don't know it, we're at a remote location away from the home studio all this week, up in the North Woods of Minnesota. And I do not have my studio with me. So we're just, the microphone is what's built into the computer. 1 minute till we launch live. And so Sarah says I'll type. No, if you want to be, you got to come in. Come on in. Call in to the after show, Sarah. Let's see. Holy cow, the chat room is flying at 1,000 words a minute, says Uncle Dave. So, in case you didn't know, it's 3 minutes and now 53 seconds past the top of the hour. And we'll get going here in a second. Ooh, almost pulled the zipper of my sweater up into my very meager chest hair. So, pulls out what I got. All right. It is now 15, 16 seconds after. Stand by. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for a really awesome and amazing graphic designer? How about an illustrator or a photographer? This is Rainey Roberts, and I wanted to tell you how you can get my designer, illustrator husband, Scotty Roberts, to work for you on your project. Do you have an awesome self-published book but no cover, or even worse, a cover that really sucks? Do you need a kick-ass logo for your company or some f***ing awesome graphic designs for your ads or website? Then get in touch with my husband for the best f***ing awesome kick-ass design and illustration. He knows his stuff, and he's been at this for more years than I've been alive. Go to ScottAllenRoberts.com. That's Scott with 2 T's, ALANROBERTS.com to take a look at his online portfolio of work, or call 651-468-8115. Now go out and kick some ass with some kick-ass graphic design.
Hire my dad so he can take me to Disneyland.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Yeah, Uncle Dave, if you're a guy, you've experienced zipping various things into zippers. Beards into jacket zippers, and chest hair into sweater zippers, and other things into other zippers. So, we learned that lesson as guys very young in life. So I think they had it good in the, everything prior to like the 1920s. When zippers were invented, sometime in there. It was all button flies for everything back then. So welcome, folks. This is Scotty Roberts. You're listening to or watching, or maybe watching, the Intrepid radio program right here on the Odyssey Radio. Odyssey Radio. I always want to say network at the end. I'm so used to saying that for 3 years, up until a couple of months ago. So Odyssey Radio, ODYSY. radio.com. Come on over, hear all the goodness it's Odyssey Radio. You can hear all the various shows that are over there, and you can hear this very show that we're doing live right now on Wednesday evening. We'll rebroadcast tomorrow during the day, so you can go over and check the schedule out. I think it's at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, and maybe at other points throughout the day. I'm not sure. So go out and check it out. You can also join the video simulcast of this show over at facebook.com/Odyssey Radio, or right here on the YouTube channel. And I say right here because that's where I am. I'm over on the YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/Scotty Roberts. And while you're there, like this broadcast with the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you are not subscribed, and hit that join button if you'd like to join. And believe it or not, sooner or later, we're going to start kicking in some of those perks on the join button for the YouTube version of this show. So go ahead and hit that. And remember, after the show goes off the air tonight over on Odyssey Radio, we just stick around over on the YouTube channel, and we have the after show, the afterglow, the inspirational time, the funspiration of the Captain's Cabin. Arr. And so you can join us for good conversation over there, or just stay tuned right after the show. And that's all. And it won't be broadcast at Odyssey Radio. It's only broadcast over on the YouTube channel. And so there's the drill for tonight. Leslie already put it up in the chat room. And thank you, Leslie. But I've got to get a plug because I forget to do this almost every day. Go check out my new book, The Sword in the Clay. And many of you already know all about the book. You've heard readings of it. Some of you have even gotten your own copies of the book already. You can just go over to, it's simple. It's the same as the title, theswordintheclay.com. Theswordintheclay.com. And you can find it. You can also go to my website, scottallenroberts.com. Click on the very opening link at the top. There's a big picture of the book. You can click there and get there too. But I think you have to, remembering either one of those is the same thing. Leslie Holker says, the Captain's Cabin was great last night. I truly hated to leave. It was a good time. It was nice to have Professor Bauer in, and we had Niall on, and then we had a very good conversation for about 2 hours after the show. I don't know if I can do a marathon 2 hours again tonight, but we'll see what's going on. I've had a whole day of writing, and I stare at this computer screen, about this close, and I've got my readers on like this as I type, and by the time I get up for a break, my eyes are so wonky that it makes you feel like you're ready to go to sleep. So I'm still yawning, says Sarah Yusuf. I hope not from boredom, but more from staying up late with us last night. Grumpy Stack, good to see you. I'm glad you made it in tonight. Nice to have you here. And everybody else over in the chat room. Folks, if you haven't joined the chat room, come on over and meet the rest of the Intrepids and enjoy your time during the show tonight. We were talking about the body language that women give off last night. And I thought that that was rather fun. It can be handled as a very serious topic, but I think that there are times we should put a little tongue in a little cheek, ching, and handle it that way. Because it can be awfully lighthearted, even though it can be a serious topic. And so tonight we're going to do kind of the flip side of that. Now, I said last night we were going to finish off this list of women's body language. I think we hit it all during the after show last night. And so if you're listening on the radio, you might have missed some of that. My apologies. Not meant to do that. I sometimes just talk too much and we run out of time. So tonight we're going to hit the flip side of that coin. And we're going to talk about how to read the body language of men. And I've got some things here that are, they're very interesting. And I've got, a list here of about 18 things that, and the approach I took with this tonight is 18 body language clues that men will give you, ladies, to show you that he's interested in you. Now, maybe some of you don't need to know anything about that anymore. You're like, I'm married, I'm happy, but watch your husband's body language. I think this is very interesting stuff to know. If you're married or already well attached, it's okay to get to know these body language signs because guys put them out all the time. They don't stop speaking with body language just because they're married. And if you're single, you don't have to be on the prowl or looking or anything like that, but it's always good to be able to read men's body language because it's not only just for figuring out if a guy desires you or if there's love in the air, or if it's business related. It all kind of crosses over because there's certain things you can tell about how a guy is thinking. Steve Clark in the chat room says, oh no, please don't read my body language. It might scare you to death. And Sarah Yusuf says, I'd like to know what goes on in a guy's head when it seems like he hears crickets in his head. And guys do that sometimes. And yes, Sarah, there are ways to tell through his body language if he's into what you're saying or if he's bored as hell. And men are programmed. They're actually pre-programmed because whether our society or let's put it this way, not our society, it's certain elements within our society that have strived very hard to blend the sexes. They've striven very hard to make what was once not so normal now. And that's why we see it everywhere. And so it's sometimes fun to just go back to the traditional things, the way that we're actually wired. You're not wired to be one of 52 different genders. You're wired to be male or female. And you can stand in a garage all you want and wish you were a car, but you know what? You're never going to turn into a car. You can identify, as a Z28 or something, but you know what? You're never going to be one. But you can play one if you want to. And I know some people aren't going to like that. Some people will hear the show and say, oh, you're also anti-transgender. I'm not anti-transgender. To each his own. But I'm saying just don't try to, for lack of a better word, push it on me or anybody else and try to normalize it. It's still not really normal behavior, and it's never going to be normal behavior. It's going to be maybe accepted behavior, but that doesn't make it normal. So, and I feel bad for the people who go ahead and go all the way through the surgery, because they do exist, go through the surgery to try to change their bodies into their desired sex, and come back later and go, I just cut off my penis and I'm never getting that back. And they regret it. It happens. It happens, folks. So maybe someday we'll have some transgender people on and we'll talk about that. If you're transgender and you're on the chat room, you can call in to the after show tonight, the Captain's Cabin. Steve Clark asks, what's normal? I don't think we have to ask that, Steve, frankly. By normal, I mean, it's like this. Squirrels having bushy tails is normal for a squirrel. So there is a normal. There are such things, I believe, as absolutes. There are things, men generally, for the most part, have penises. Women have vaginas. Now, that's just very, because you're so superficial. Oh, no, I'm just saying that there are biological things that are natural between men and women. And what I was getting at was our physiological wiring is the same way. If you are wired to be a man, you'll be a man. If you're wired to be a woman, you'll be a woman. And wired meaning you don't really have wires running through us. You know what I mean? But and Steve, thank you for that input. What's normal? I don't know. That's like asking, what's a woman? I don't think, I think normal is what's natural. It's what we're biologically meant to be. I would define that as normal. I think where it becomes abnormal or outside of normal or paranormal, outside of the normal, is when it's something that wasn't made that way from the beginning. Now, you obviously have your exceptions. And the exceptions are not the rule. That's the thing. And I think what a lot of people are trying to do out there is create the exception to be the accepted rule. And it's just not. And I didn't mean this to be a treatise or an essay on transsexualism or genders and all of that. The way I see the world, and call me limited, call me an old white guy from Wisconsin, as some have, on all their tolerance, they describe me as a white guy from Wisconsin, an old white guy from Wisconsin, old, ageism, white, racism, guy, sexism. They include 3 isms in all their tolerance to tell me why I'm stupid or dumb. I'm just an old white guy from Wisconsin. Well, the way I see it, only 40 years ago, I was a young white guy from Minnesota. And 40 years ain't a whole lot of time in the great scheme of the length of time in the cosmos out there. It was a drop in the bucket. So I ain't that far off from when I was a young white guy. So, and white doesn't matter. I'm kind of pink. I'm Welsh Scot. I pinken. And then I go white again. So I like to say I'm so white, I'm transparent. And but then again, I came from a mixed family, mixed race family. My mom was white and my dad was very white. So there you go. But men are pre-programmed to send out physical clues that they're interested in a woman. And I think this goes all the way back to primordial times, before any of this was defined. Men put out these physical signals. Women, ladies, you lock eyes with a handsome guy that's sitting across the dimly lit room, and instantly 1,000 questions rip-roar through your mind. Is he single? Does he find me attractive? Is he sitting by himself simply because his date is late, or he's waiting on his wife? And I'm talking about single women usually ask these questions. Professor Bauer is in the room. Welcome, Professor Bauer. But when eye contact continues, you know that he's looking at you for a reason. when a guy looks at you and he maintains his eye contact, not being creepy, just maintains a little eye contact, whether he's looking at you for a reason. Whether it's the way your brand new dress fits every little tight curve of your body that he's examining, or you've got spaghetti sauce smeared on your face. Whatever it is, you have to wonder what he's thinking and figure out why and how he might want to tell you if he's really thinking about you. And so it might be easier than you think. Surprisingly, men are so pre-programmed to send out physical clues that when they're interested in a woman, it's hard to miss. All right, we're kind of dumb. Remember last night we said women there. Some of the differences is women are softer. Women are more passionate. There's a lot more emotion involved with them. They're meticulous thinkers. Guys, we're blunt. We're to the point. We're like, yeah, men want sex, kind of thing. We're almost that dumb. And I don't say that to be one of those metrosexuals who go, oh, yes, girl, men are just evil these days. Ooh. I'm not being that way. I'm saying men are dumb. Women are like cats, men are like dogs. Dogs are like, pet me. And the woman's like, I'll knock you off the counter if you sit down. So if you don't believe me about this, it's real. I'm going to go through a bunch of things that will describe this to you. And legend has it that men make the first move. Then they plead, cajole, wine, dine, and basically bribe using, in the old days, chocolates, flowers, dinner dates, whatever it might be, to lure women into their bachelor pads to either A, have their wicked ways with them, or two, get down on one knee. And so women, sweet, passive, delicate little flowers that they are, they start out strong by defying his attentions. Oh no, read the hand. And until this sheer persistence breaks down their resistance. And women will agree to A, sherry, wine. Meanwhile, women fill their days by reading romance novels, peering from behind closed curtains, on the watch for knights on the big white stallions. And that all, by the way, is a load of crap. Oh, every last thing I just said, a load of crap. Sarah Yusuf's got it right. Eye roll. Sarah, what, you don't sit at home and read romance novels and wait for a guy with long blonde hair that he has to swish out of his eyes all the time while he flexes his muscles to come by? Now, women have always made the first move, and they orchestrate the pace, the flow, and the direction of romantic relationships. I, for one, when I was dating, or erase that, not when I was dating, when I was out and I saw a woman that I was interested in, I barely ever even approached the woman to talk to her. I was a bit intimidated by that. I didn't want to come across ever as Mr. Creepy Guy. And, it was either one of two things. You either plow forward, with your courage bolstered by alcohol and plant your face in a woman's bosom, or you hold back and you kind of give off some signals. Hey, I wouldn't mind talking to you. And sometimes you meet and you're able to talk. You know how it goes. Everything's different. But women generally make the first move, and men generally don't want to make a move until they read loud and clear from a woman that she's interested. And so, the song from Camelot comes to mind. Remember that? I learned it when Richard Harris was, Richard Burton was with Julie Andrews. Richard Burton played King Arthur. Julie Andrews played Guinevere. And I had an old LP that I listened to. It was one of my mom's when I was a kid. That play hit Broadway in 1962 II, I want to say. And it was a big thing. Camelot, that's what they called JFK's time in office, the time of Camelot, because he and his wife, Jackie, were so into that play. And remember in that play, it's got Arthur. He's all by himself, and he sings that song, and he says something like, it goes, "How to handle a woman. There's a way," said the wise old man, "a way known by every woman since the whole rigmarole began. Do I flatter her?" I begged him answer. "Do I threaten or cajole or plead? Do I brood or play the gay romancer?" Said he, smiling, "No, indeed. How to handle a woman? Mark me well, I will tell you, sir. The way to handle a woman is to love her, simply love her, merely love her, love her, love her." Now, that was the Camelot version of "How do you handle a woman?" asks the man. So, masters of intuition and emotional manipulation, adept at body language, able to gauge the emotional temperature of a room quicker than our nipples stiffen in the breeze, you can bet on it that if a guy's on his way over to a woman armed with courage and a pickup line, you were the one who lured him there. Ladies, very few men have the courage to just step out and do that unless they're odd. Now, women choose from no less than 52 moves to show men that they're interested. And the average man chooses from a maximum of about 10 to attract a female. That shows you the differences. Men are compartmentalized. Women are, everything flows together. I used to say it was like this: a man is like a house. And in his house, when you open the front door, there are many rooms with doors in between each room. He's got the family room here, and you open the door and go into the next room and shut the door behind you, you're in the sex room. Then you go to the next room, you're in the love room, you're in the romance room, the business room, the fishing room, the bowling room, whatever it might be. Men compartmentalize, and they rarely knock down the walls to have an open vista of everything in their room. Now, a woman, you go to her house, you open the door, and she's got the open layout. She's got the living room, the kitchen, the sex room, the family room, the cooking room, the business room, the church room, the whatever room is there, and it's all one big flippin' room. And so everything happens all together. It's like I say, men are puddles and women are streams. So women choose from 52 different moves to show men they're interested. Men only have 10. So now the good news then is this: the average female is usually very good at deciphering body language. You get that, guys? Your wife, your significant other, your girlfriend, your fiance, the woman that you are maybe picking out of a crowd, they're really good at knowing what the hell you're thinking by your body language. And just in case you're not, here's some obvious things, along with the signals that are more subtle. They're secretive, and occasionally they're downright silly, but here we go. All right. Did you know that if a man is interested in you, ladies, if I have your rapt attention, if a man is interested in you, he'll serve you an eyebrow flash. See that? See how subtle? Maybe that wasn't so subtle. You'll be talking to a guy and he might go, "Oh, how you doing?" The eyebrow goes up. So if you see someone raise his eyebrow at you, even for a flash of a moment, that, if he raises those eyebrows, that one eyebrow, you might know he likes you before he even knows it himself. It's body language. It's subconscious wiring. It's the way the brain is physiologically put together. If sometimes if you see it, so if you see a guy and he's looking at you, he goes, "Oh," without anything else, the eyebrow goes up. That's a dead giveaway. So when we first see someone we're attracted to, our eyebrows rise and fall. Guys, and pay attention to that. If you don't want a woman to know that you are attracted, don't let your eyebrow go up. But it's so subconscious, you might not know it. You're like, oh, that was nothing. Twitch from my war days. And if they like us back, guess what? They raise their eyebrows. Oh. It might not be super, it's not cartoony. It's just the eyebrows go up a little. And the whole thing lasts about a fifth of a second. And it happens everywhere in the world. You can see tribes out in the, the Mumbai tribe, out in the Serengeti, wherever they live. And, a man might be walking with his spear in his loincloth and see a woman he's interested in. He might go, hey. So it happens. The whole thing lasts a split second, but it happens. And it happens to everyone, regardless of age, race, or class. It happens to us whether we know we're doing it or not. Shave your eyebrows, said Sarah Yusuf. There it is. Shave your eyebrows. Mine have gotten really white over the years, really light in color. Never really had much eyebrow anyway. So lifting one brow pulls the eye open. It allows more light to reflect off the surface. And it makes a woman, or makes your eyes look bright, large, inviting. And a flash might be easy to miss, but they're so reliable. And if you do spot one, you might know someone likes you before they even register it themselves. And deliberately extended it up for 1 second, and you've drastically upped the chances of him getting the message that you're interested back. So one of the first signs that a man is interested in you, ladies, eyebrow goes up. Hey. Split second. Hey. Oh. Ah. And after a while, if you keep doing that, you get a headache. So what's Leslie saying? Me neither, Scotty. I had eczema in mine when I was little. I'd give anything to have gorgeous eyebrows. There you go. Yeah. Look at those. Look at those non-existent browage. At least I don't have a unibrow. Okay, second thing a man will do. Eyebrow go up. His lips part. Kind of like this. They go, oh. See? My lips parted. Now, if you're fast enough, ladies, and you see that, you know he's interested. His lips part. I was practicing this on Rainey this afternoon. We were talking on the internet because I'm away from home. And I said, Rainey, so watch me and tell me what I'm thinking. And she went, oh, you are so sexy. So, yeah, make sure you guys, clip your nose hairs or something before you do that. So, lips parted, nostril flare, eyebrow goes, that's a yes from a guy. So if he likes what he sees, his lips are going to automatically part for a moment when your eyes first look. It's going to be, that whole, oh, okay. Oh, So anyway, his nostrils flare is the third one, and his face generally opens up. His raised eyebrows, his parted lips, his flaring nostrils. The wide eyes give the whole face a friendly, open expression, like this. You like that, ladies? Said yes? So, that's what a guy does. His face actually opens up. So, Morgan Snow says, I got a dark brown and the other is blonde eyebrow. Try to get them even. LOL. Always look like one is missing. Sometimes I have what we used to call, no offense, Professor Bauer, we used to have what we called Professor Brow back when I was in college, because we had a professor who had eyebrows like, Leonid Brezhnev, who's like, and his eyebrows are just like, and he'd stand still giving a speech, and you'd see the air conditioning flowing his eyebrow hair back and forth. He had such a long, and we're like, dude, trim those. You're the leader of Russia. Trim those things. And so, oh, you missed that, Leslie? Here it is. So anyway, so brows, I trim mine back one time because I'm starting to get old enough that I have professor brow. If I go 2 weeks, I can look at it and all of a sudden I got hair like dangling down in front of my eye. I'm like, what is that? Oh, and it's just like, so I have to trim them back. And sometimes I've had occasions where I've got the trimmer on the wrong setting, and I go, oh my God, I have no eyebrow on the right. I've done it. So number 4, he's going to try to attract your attention. Once he's got the eyebrow thing done and the lips parted and the nostrils flaring, he's going to try to, if that doesn't do it, he's going to try to attract your attention. So watch his body language. For some men, this might mean there's a subtle tie adjustment. Hey, how you doing? Sometimes they stroke their ties. Well, that's number 5. We'll get to that in a second. But so there might be the little tie adjustment with a silent prayer that you're going to notice his flash of movement. Hey, did you notice that? Look at him wearing a ring. It's catching the light. Here, let's see. Oh, you got that? Oh, right in your eyeball. And so others turned into clowns. They become so loud and boisterous, they're practically juggling and doing handstands. Why? Because they're trying to attract the girl's attention. Look at me in my comic glory. Aren't you attracted to me? Wouldn't I be fun to have around every day? And any exaggerated movement, gesture, this usually means the guy's trying to stand out from the group to you, the one he's flaring his nostrils at. And another giveaway is he'll unconsciously detach from his friends by standing slightly apart. Oh, that woman, she's learned to notice me. Hey, how you doing? Those are my friends over there. Hey, that's the subconscious movement. And so he's hoping to be seen as an individual by his body language as opposed to part of a group. Be direct, not creepy, says Lelania. There it is. I'm sorry, Lelania, what? It's not too creepy, is it? Okay, number 5, he's going to stroke his tie or his lapel. It's going to be like, oh, hi, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Eyebrows up, lips are parted, nostrils flaring. I'm stroking my tie or my lapel. Say, hey, yeah, look at me. And he's doing this because it's like the hamana thing. It's time to smooth the tie. And we all know that these preening gestures mean something deeper. They're the equivalent of the female lip lick. I'm not female, so I can't do it very well. But I want to look good for you is the thing. Oh, hey. Oh. He'll smooth or mess up his hair. You know? Oh, let me get that back. Yeah. Oh, hi. Hi over there. Hey. You know, I'm exaggerating it, obviously. And so we all know what these preening things mean. Which gesture he chooses depends on his hairstyle. What he's going to do to make himself look more flattering to you. Guys do this involuntarily and more often than you think. Glance back the next time you trot off to another room at the office or something, or at a bar or restaurant or a gathering. And I'll bet his hands are going to be on their way to touching his hair. Just in case she turns around. You know, that kind of thing. It's what guys do. Number 7, his eyebrows remain slightly raised while you're talking. He's got a slightly surprised, quizzical look or an expression that means, you're fascinating. Oh, you're fascinating. Look at my eyebrows. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Howdy do. Yeah. That's what guys do. So quite frankly, either are preferable to a man, to a man, raising the eyebrows, smoothing the hair, quizzical expressions. And he looks at you with this smooth, relaxed brow and eyes. Yeah, smooth and relaxed. Number 8, he's going to fiddle with his socks and pull them up. Now, I don't recall doing this very often when I was interested in a woman. It'd be like, Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, well, that's very interesting. Oh, let me get my sock pulled up. There you go. I don't recall doing much of that, but adjustments is the idea. Pulls up his socks means he's preening for you. If you watch a guy and he's sitting down and you're engaging him in some kind of even very mild conversation, and he reaches down and pulls up his socks, he's preening. And in the old days, men only dressed up on special occasions. While the suit might have survived months in mothballs, the socks invariably continued to get worn to death. Hence why he spent half the night pulling them up is in an attempt to look the part. It's an extension of preening, and it's astonishingly accurate. And if a guy pulls up or adjusts his socks in your presence, it's almost 100% certain that he's interested in trying to look his best. Now, do you remember, guys, do you remember the 80s? Some of you my age, Professor Bauer, others over there, Steve Clark. Do you remember the days when guys wore the low shoes, the low, not penny loafers, lower, like almost like opera pumps? There's a big phase in the 80s. When you dressed up, you'd wear the opera pumps and you'd wear really wild or colorful socks. That was the thing to do. You might have on a black pair of pants and a blue silk shirt, and you might wear low black opera pump type shoes that went almost down to the sole of your feet on the sides, but your socks were magnifico. They were multicolored, multi-patterned. Sarah say in the chat room, thin ankles must be an attractive thing. Maybe. I don't know. Lelania says, but I don't think my husband gave me any of those signals. LOL. What'd he do? I had an old shop teacher. I mentioned this on this show not long ago. And he said he was from out east. He can't talk like this. And he said, yeah, the first date I went out with my wife, I picked her up at the door and I looked her in the eye and I said, you going to agree to marry me right now? Because if not, I'm not going to waste my time and money on you. How's that for romance? I've been married like 50 years now. So watch for a guy if he pulls up his socks. Number 9, everything is erect. That's body language. Now, what I mean by this, he's going to stand tall with all his muscles pulled tight. Hey, oh, yeah. And if you walk by him and you go, oh, pardon me, and touch him on the arm, he's got to go, oh, yeah, that tricep is rock hard. No, seriously, men will stand more erect. He'll stand with all his muscles pulled up. He'll show his body off to the best advantage in the best way he can. And he's going to stand directly in front of you to show full attention, and he's going to lean forward to get a little closer. Oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm leaning over while I'm leaning into you. I better stand taller and lean into you. So this is what men do to get your attention. Number 10, he'll let you see him checking out your body. I don't mean that in a prurient way. Guys, there are times, there are times where I've been in the presence of a woman and I'm not trying to attract her. Now, maybe in my older days, but I've seen guys that'll look in the woman, they'll be leaning back and they've got their drink and they're like, hey, yeah, wow, holy bananas, whatever. And I'm like, dude, stop drooling. Look up, act right, I'd say. Don't do that. And but there are times even now, I'll see a beautiful woman and you go, and guys will always go, sorry, I was, or if you get busted, that's even worse. You get busted looking at a woman's boobs, guys, it's kind of like, sometimes they don't mind. They're like, oh, oh, you funny man, you. I mean, I've had women do the opposite, where you get caught, and you go, sorry. They go, oh, you want to look? You want a better look? And I'm like, why, thank you very much. Yes, I do. It's a thing that guys do. Some experts call this visual voyaging. Visual voyaging. His eyes take a little cruise around your body. It goes over the mountains and down to the straits of something or other, into the curve of pelvis and whatever. And he takes a little mental cruise and visual cruise, and stopping momentarily at the prettiest ports, so to speak, while he's on this cruise. And it's like Seinfeld. Remember the old Seinfeld show? And they were talking one show about getting caught looking at women's boobs. And Seinfeld says, well, you don't stare. He says, look, he says, you get a sense and you move on. And that's what you're supposed to do. So, guys, that's advice to you. Get a sense and you move on. And don't kid yourself. Guys will scan your bodies. And it's not always because they're creepy. Do you think it's not physiological for a woman's body to be attracted to a man and vice versa? Women seem to be less concerned with that than men. But I think they are just concerned at some points. So when a man's looking at your body, you can be, unless he's creeping you out, and he's just like oh, daddy likes that. Oh, daddy likes what he sees. That's creepy. I'm just talking about a guy, a normal guy. He's standing there and he's like, oh, eyebrow goes up. Oh, lips part. It's like, oh, checking it. Oh. Whatever. He doesn't have to give the thumbs up, but you know what I mean? The message is, I'm considering you as a sexual partner. That's the unspoken body language here. He's letting you see him do it. It's like, oh, man, did you see me looking? Did you see me looking? Look, I'll look again. Hey, again, not so creepy, but you get what I mean. IOX says, I always ask to see their tattoos. I've got I have got women topless in a bar with that question. Holy cow. You know what we used to have happen to us at the Renaissance Festival? We would be, I had a group out there. We all had our roles during the day, but we met for 2 shows we did in the afternoon, the 5 of us guys, called 10 Seconds of Harmony. And our shtick was, we were 5 guys from all around the kingdom with our various roles, and we would meet, and we would sneak off and meet together for drinks once a year. Then we do these shows twice a day. And the first year, we came in monk's robes and stuff like that. And we do our shtick, and then we do these stupid little songs. And we got pretty good at it. But later in the season, we had developed, those little tattoos you used to get as a kid? You lick your skin, stick them on for about 10 seconds, and you pull it off. You got a tattoo for a couple of days. Well, we had those made up with our logo, and our logo had our cartoon faces on them. So all our faces on them with the logo. And it's only about that big, 1.5 inches, something like that, by 1.5 inches. And so we would have women, we had those, and then we had thong panties. Now, women, if you wear thong panties, you know they comes around in the back. It's got the little triangle thing, and then the string in the back. Well, right in the middle of that triangle, we printed that logo. Well, we would sell those, and those things bought up like hotcakes after our shows. And we would have, with 20,000 people milling around the festival grounds, we would have women that would say, I'll put these underwear on right now, or I would like you to put this tattoo on me right now. And so we'd form a circle in the middle of these crowds with our monk's robes out, creating a circle, and a woman would strip down to no panties and put our panties on. And the other ones would be just right out in the open, cleavage galore. They would say, I had more women say, I want you to put this tattoo on me right now. Well, here, okay. And they go, you got to lick the skin though first to get it wet to put the tattoo on. And so there we are. We're like, okay, I guess somebody's got to do this. And, you lick the revealed part of the bosom and you stick the tattoo and you have to hold it there for a minute or two. This is what would happen. And so I don't know how I rabbit trail on something somebody said or something, but that's now that was different because we were entertaining at the same time. And so those were the kinds of things that we did. I'm considering you as a sexual partner. Let me look at things that you have and so on. But that was a little different because there was a bravado. Sometimes it was, Leslie, believe me. And there were also the women where you'd say, no, yeah, I can't do that in public. I really can't. And then there were the ones who were like, hey, I was first. She was talking to me. I get to do that. But number 11, you know what else a man will do? He'll spread his legs while sitting opposite of you to give you a crotch display. As gross as that sounds to some people, men do that. They'll sit down and the knees will come apart and they'll be doing one of these, Oh, yeah, that's very interesting. Tell me more about your story. Here, let me spread my knees wider. Put my hands on my knees so you can see my crotch. And now what he's letting you know is he's letting you know that you can have a good look at what he has to offer. Hopefully he's still got his pants on when he does it, but he'll stand up with his hands on his hips. Hey, look at what I got here. Look at my package. And you can't really see it all the time, but these are the unspoken signals that men put off. Sometimes that sounds really stupid or gross, or all you women might together right now go, oh, I'm going to roll my eyes now. Oh, how gross that a guy would do that. But you've been in those situations. You know it. It's a flirting power pose for a man. Stand up and put his hands on his hips. Oh, yeah. Well, that's a very interesting story you're telling. Now, he accentuates the physical size and he suggests body confidence when he does that. When you see a guy that's slumped like this, you see a guy that's like, hey, how you doing? Hey, yeah, look at me. Hey, look, I'll stand up now. Hey, look at me. Yeah. This is what guys do. This is that innate body language that they do. It's also a pointing gesture. Hey, I got my hands on my hips. Look where my fingers, 8 of my fingers are pointing that way. So we point with our hands at our own best sexual assets and also at the parts of our body where we'd most like to be touched. That is a physiological, subconscious thing. And some guys will do that. Some guys are just jerks. They're creeps and they'll just do it like, hey, yeah, look at my crotch. And other guys, it's just they do it without even thinking about it. Dave Potter says, especially a really hot day at the festival when I'm wearing my kilt, Yeah, wearing a kilt's a little different. We've had more. I remember I wore my kilt out with some friends. Dave, you know who I'm talking about. Eric Brees and some other friends and Kat and some of those people. It's before I knew Rainey. And we all went out and they wanted to go clubbing. Eric and I were like, we're the grown-ups here, and I happened to wear, just to go clubbing, women get all dressed up to the nines and all that. I ended up putting on my Scottish fisherman's sweater with the big roll collar and the cable knit sweater and my kilt. And I had on, like combat boots and the big socks and stuff like that. There happened to be a bachelorette party at this club that we went to. I had more women coming up behind me that if I had done what they did to me, I would get slapped or I'd get sent to jail. But guys generally don't mind that. Women do. I had more women coming up and lifting the backside of my kilt and tickling my butt cheek. So I'm like, oh, hey. And, you try to feign. I'm okay with that. Yeah. Some of them you can do that again. But yeah, that's so there's that. Dave Potter says, I'm interested in a woman because she's intelligent. Oh, here we go. Oh, Dave. You gotta do the. Those guys, they're so bad at me. I'm making fun of you now. I'm interested in a woman. It's because she's intelligent. She has a great smile, beautiful eyes. And then I say to her, "What's your favorite meal? What can I cook for you tonight?" Oh, there it is. There was the punchline. What can I cook for you tonight? And yeah, that's a good opener, Dave. That's pretty good. And Professor Bauer, the jail part. Oh, the jail part is if you do that to a woman. You might get slapped. You might get punched. You might get a throat punch for doing that to a woman. Oh my God, we've got a minute left. Now, men will also play with the buttons on their jacket. They button them, they unbutton them. It's a displacement activity. It's fiddling because you've made him a little nervous. So if you see a guy fiddling with his buttons, he's nervous. He's going to touch his face a lot. Doesn't mean he's a crack addict. Oh, hi. Oh, it's sure nice to meet you. Got $30. It means he's interested. He'll stroke his cheek up and down and all of that. Guys, we got to get out of here for the radio show. Radio, I'm sorry. Everybody else stick around in the chat room. We'll go through some more of this. So you know what? I'm just going to tell you right now, live long and prosper.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Man, does the time fly by on this show. Well, I'm going to finish this list because it's fun. By the way, everybody, if you're still with us here, we're off the air over at the radio station. And so this is not broadcasting on Odyssey Radio. This is just now the Intrepid Radio's Captain's Cabin. Over here, it's the after show. It's the afterglow. It's your basking in the glow of the show. So let's just kind of pick it up where we left it off. And if any of you wants to call in and talk about this topic, let me send you the link here so you can call in if you want to. Ladies, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to get your input on this, but you got to come on the show to do it. You got to come to my apartment to do it. So the after party. Yes, Louis Boyce, the after party. So, hey, Sean Stroik, good to see you. And here we go. So the rest of this list, there's only a short list left here, but let's pick up. I said I left off, kind of rushed through. A guy's gonna play with the buttons on his jacket. He's gonna button. He could button them and unbutton them. He could. Sometimes I've noticed I've done this. I've like zipped up and I've unzipped it a little bit, and I'm like, okay, where's that supposed to go? I've done things like that in the past. He's going to play with the buttons on his jacket, and it's a displacement activity. And it shows that he's fiddling because he might be a little nervous in talking to you. This is body language you can read off of a guy. He's interested in you, and he's nervous how he's coming across. There might be that unconscious desire even to remove his clothes. Oh, yeah, hey, how you doing? Yeah, oh, hi. Yeah, hey, you know. You like what you see? Hey, there's more where that came from. And so the next stage is to push the jacket open. And he holds it there by putting his hands on his hips. Hey, I'm splaying my chest at you. It's like, oh, hi. Hey. Oh, hey. Here, look, I can even make my pecs move by themselves. I'm exaggerating, but this is what guys do. This is body language that they're telling you, Matt Finn, LOL, don't do that. You'll look like a meathead. Ain't that the truth? So, why, thank you, Melinda. Yes, I am. I always said, hey, guys, if a woman says to you, you're a god, you know what the proper answer is? Why, yes, I am. I learned that a long time ago. Never deny it. So the next stage, you push that jacket open. And now if he takes his coat off completely, he's signaling subconsciously that it's okay for you to take something off too. Now, I will share a little something with you. I don't think I've ever talked about this before. It makes it sound so prurient, but you know how we had scotch and cookies on Thursdays at my house. Now, Dave, you weren't here on this particular night, but there were times late into the evening when the bulk of our friends all went away. We'd have a handful of 5, 6, 7 people left over. It was midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning. And I had a very good looking, tall, leggy blonde. Dave, you know who she is. It wasn't Lindsay, just so you know. But she challenged me to a game of chess, because in my living room, in front of the fireplace, I had a little pillar, one of those little plaster pillars with a chessboard on top of it and a silver and gold chess set on there. And she said, "Do you play chess?" And so remember some Mad Magazine, Mad Snappy Answers to Stupid Questions. Do I play chess? It was like, yeah, I play chess. And she said, "I'll challenge you to a game of chess." I said, "Let's do it." And we sat down. I sat down on the hearth of the fireplace, and she was on a cushion on the floor, and everybody gathered around to watch the chess match between Jules and Scotty. And as it was going on, just before we got started, she said, "Let's put a little meat in this game. How about strip chess? For every piece you lose, you have to take off a piece of clothing." Oh, there you go. Dave said it already. The strip chess night. And Leslie said, "Scotty, as my papa always said, did she have legs up to her ass?" Yes, she did. I didn't understand that for years, but I do now. I don't know about the Thomas Crown affair. I can't remember if they played strip chess in there or not. This would have been right around 2003 or 2004. 2004, somewhere in there. And so we started playing chess. And she said, "Oh, by the way, did I tell you I'm a championship chess player?" And I'm like, oh, fuck. Because I hadn't played really much chess at all. I played with chess. So I had to put on my best game. I didn't want to be naked first. And there were 6, 7 other people sitting around us rooting on who was going to get naked first. So it really came down really tight at the end of that chess game. And boom chicka boom bow bow, says Dave. That's right. Jules happened to have on one of those little thin, short sleeve, short kind of midriff sweaters for spring. Then she had a shirt on and a tank top and a bra. She had like 5 things she had. I had to take 5 of her pieces for her to be topless. Hey, Professor Bauer, how you doing?
How you doing?
Chicka bow bow.
Bow chicka wow wow.
Oh, hey, I had to show you this. Look at the camera.
Yeah. Whoa.
My light.
And it's a Bauer. It's a Bauer light.
Bauer.
That's
I
awesome.
did that this evening when I was setting up, and I went, "Oh, hey." See, everywhere I look, you're there. The guy across the street is the construction company. My lamp. Did you call me? Did you rub my lamp? So, Iowa X is naked women are sexy and naked men are comedy. Ain't that the truth? So anyway,
this is true.
We got down to, it was down to Jules and I, and she was down to panties. And I was down to, at the time, I wore, I liked a good boxer brief. And so it was like wearing biking shorts, when you got nothing else on. And thank goodness I had the black ones on. And so it ends up, and we're down in pieces. And she's gonna just nail me. And she takes the last piece of mine. I'm like, son of a. And now she didn't checkmate me, but
Sounds like you were
So I
about to be
took a
checkmated.
pillow and I put the pillow, a sofa pillow on my lap, and I stripped off the biker shorts. And I go, there you go. They go, pillows don't count. Pillows don't count. I go, oh, yeah, they do. It's part of my clothing. So Leslie said, oh, man, I got to go out and have a smoke and come in to see Professor Bauer. So this is just before Jules found her man that she eventually got engaged to, because she completely changed her demeanor after that. Ain't that the truth? You know I'm talking about, Uncle Dave. Yeah, she was a cutie. And
So
anyway,
I've just got. Can you hear me? Okay.
Oh, sorry, my sound wasn't up. Now I can.
Now you can hear me. Okay.
I can.
I can hear you great. I've just got a few minutes. I'm in the middle of, as many know, our friend planet Mercury is going backwards in our optical perception, and it's causing all kinds of chaos. I have been on tech support for 3 days, and and if you hear of any events down in Phoenix at the GoDaddy headquarters, it wasn't me.
That's good to know. That's good to know.
But I wanted to, this whole conversation, and it's part of what we were talking about last night, and I wanted to just throw in one other thing, that list that you've gone through is spot on. I mean,
it is.
It's just, and it's a function of the way that we function, the way that our chemicals and our biology and all that stuff. We got testosterone, they got estrogen. I mean, those two things alone create this whole paradigm shift. But one of the things that I have, and I've known it, just wasn't really aware of it. You know how you feel something and you've always got this feeling, but you can't articulate it, or is it you haven't found a way to express it verbally to yourself, let alone to someone else to explain it. Mm-hmm. And one of the things on this topic that I have recently gone through, several years, a couple of decades actually, is the realization of the fear that I have of women. Women, that estrogen vibe, that hormonal concoction of creation that's just incredible, is such a powerful energy. When I encounter it, I mean, it puts me back in my haunches. So, all of that list, my point I wanted to make was all that list, I tried those things to calm me, not to try to, see it. Well, I mean, there was an element of, maybe if I adjust this, shake that, raise this, pucker that, I might get a reaction, and because that's natural. But the majority of that was out of fear. I was like, well, maybe I should do these things just so my fear doesn't show up.
That's what I was saying at the beginning, is that guys are not usually the instigators or the promoters. They may come across like they are, but guys are always waiting for the woman to make the first move, and they react to that. Why? Because we're scared of women. We're like, I think maybe some of that is tied up in rejection, because what happens out in nature? Let's say you're watching, I don't know, a bunch of lions or baboons or caribou or whatever they are in their mating cycles, and you'll have 2 and 3 males converging on the female, and the female's got to decide which one she's going to take as a mate. And
well, that's usually the one that wins the headbutting contest,
the one that wins the headbutting. It's the one that shows off the best antler. Hey, look at my antler. And things like that. That's the same stuff we have as guys. And for damn sure that we are like some of those monkeys or those caribou or whatever it is. We're also going, is she going to choose me, or is she going to choose that other guy who's got a louder roar, a thicker mane, and longer antlers?
Right. And doesn't a lot of that, and I'll just throw this out there and see if it makes any sense. Doesn't a lot of that come from that fundamental component of what we were talking about last night how men make millions of sperm and women do
Yep.
1 egg a month. Okay. So
Yep.
you've got scarcity on one side and abundance on the other.
Yeah.
Well, that there's a reason for that biologically, and it's the spreading of genes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so women are going to be very, very selective because they've only got one shot a month of, in that cycle to get the good genes. The guys are like, I got plenty of seeds. These need to be spread wide and freely. And
June Shasta said in the chat room, she said, where did it just go? When in fear, be audacious.
I like that. So, but my point there is that women, and we mentioned this last night, and I think it's true, and I think it's because of conditioning, but women, because of the vastness of their minds and the way that everything is connected, and in the way that they mentally seem to manifest with the biology and the chemistry they have. Men, we have the same thing, but ours is very, very different. We are so much more simple than women think. It's like that. I was saying that one of my favorite statements is women think more about what men are thinking than men are actually thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're pretty linear for the most part, and some of us eventually start connecting all kinds of things and get in touch with our feminine energy and can create that massive amount of incredible interconnections, and have more of an appreciation of what it would be like to be that all the time. But I mean, imagine, ask a woman, what it would be like to be a man. And as I said in the chat room, I think that we should probably go ahead and do some show that is men coming on and identifying as women, and then have some women come on and identify as men. Oh,
I think that's not a bad idea.
I mean, it would be fascinating at a minimum, I think.
Yes. Here, let me get us all. There we go.
There we go.
That's better. Yeah. We should identify as women and talk about this stuff.
Greetings, Dave Potter. I don't think I've met you before.
Oh,
I don't think we've actually met either. It's a pleasure to meet you as well.
Uncle Dave Potter. Dave has been a friend of mine for about 30 years. And for as young as I am, I mean, I've known him since I was 2. And yeah. And so, no, it was what, 1993?
Yeah, when we did the Bucks.
Yep, the Chaska Valley Buccaneers.
Early 90s.
Yep. So we've been around. He's a good friend of my family. All my kids, from my oldest 30-year-olds to my youngest 7-year-old, know Dave as Uncle Dave. And so he's always been part of my family. And we've tried to coax him to come over. He's a gourmet chef. We've tried to coax him to come over and live with us so he could cook for us.
That's true. That's true.
I'll tell you what, there's nothing like somebody who can cook. I've got like a handful of specialties that I can actually survive on, but I don't know how long that would last. But I can boil water. I can make eggs.
That's what I was saying in the chat room. If I'm seriously interested in a woman, I find out what her favorite meal is, and I cook it for her.
I got to tell you,
and that just closes the deal.
Killer move.
I told this story a couple of weeks ago, but for those of you who didn't hear it, there was a woman that David was madly head over and heels over. Linda. She had the long red hair, and she was svelte. She was built. She was kind of like, her body type reminded me of Angelina Jolie in what was the action picture
she had the body of a dancer.
Yeah, she had the body of a dancer. She was well-rounded. As Pepe Le Pew once said, she was so
red
firm,
hair with tight little curls.
So round, so firm, so fully packed. To quote Pepe Le Pew.
Yes, was it Pepe or somebody that said, when a man encounters something like that, he can't run that fast.
That's right. Well, here's Dave.
Well, so we're out at the festival.
We're out at the
Renaissance Festival, and
I'm telling this story.
Okay, I'll let you
Hey,
tell it. I'll
you
just
can
fix it.
amend where you need to. This is just saying what I saw as a brother and a friend to Dave. He was mad about this woman, and he out on the festival grounds during show. So there's 25,000 people wandering around. We're all in full costume, Renaissance, and he spreads out this table with a white linen cloth.
I'm just going to pause you there. I'm going to preface this. So myself and Lewis, who was my fight partner, who is a dashing Puerto Rican Spanish type,
Yes,
had both encountered Linda on the road second weekend, I think it was, and challenged each other to a woo off. Whoever won the woo and got her kiss would win.
There it is.
And so we began wooing her aggressively.
And so he puts out this spread with the white linen. He cooks this immaculate meal, flowers on the middle of the table. He has her all served up and everything.
So I'm gonna interrupt you again. So we are at the King's Pavilion. The court is there. The entire court is there. She's part of the court.
Yes.
And I stepped out from the group, clapped my hands, and servants came running in with a table with linen.
Peasants running out with
Dude.
And then I clapped my hands again, and chairs were brought out, and I took her hand and led her to the table. I clapped my hands again, and string instruments strolled in to play for us. And
You
I
got
clapped my
game,
hands
brother.
again.
That's some serious stuff. Oh
And
my
the
God.
girls from the bakery stage brought down plates with a meal that I had prepared earlier just before the pavilion event.
Now, mind you, you look at us now. We're a couple of old fat guys, but this was 25 years ago.
So Dave, would it be safe to use the adjective smitten?
Oh yeah, I was taken, and she was batting her eyes. She was enjoying every minute of the woo.
Oh, I will tell you, Professor Bauer. He was so smitten that his smittenness was smitten. He could not speak. He could not walk. He could not agitate. He was so smitten. Oh, yeah. And she was well worth being smitten over. I got a Tomb Raider. That's it, Sarah Yusuf. Anyway.
She wore a beautiful rapier.
Go ahead now. She wore a beautiful what?
Rapier.
Oh, yes, she did.
So what was the point of this particular encounter?
Oh, just wooing a woman. I don't know.
The woo of women. Dave,
yes.
Dave's going to give you the upshot punchline to all of this. He does all this stuff for her.
That
is the conversation is going back and forth across the table, and she leans in and she says, "I should tell you, I slept with Lewis last night."
He was the competition. He was the competition.
Oh.
I think Lewis won.
Yep. And I was like, really? Because you only had to kiss him.
What? Oh, yeah. So yeah, that was it. That was the story.
Well, Dave, I'm not sure if you caught the part when I first came in, because
I did.
Okay, because that to me, I think, is one of it's one of those dichotomies, a paradox, one of those things that you go, how can these two things be simultaneously true yet be opposite, right? Men have this drive, this sense to do all the things that Scotty went through in that list.
Yep.
To go through the process of engagement. You're engaging with this other woman or this woman, and you're using all these techniques and things to try to both present your interest in pursuit as well as to gauge their response. Right?
Right. It's like the mating dance of birds.
Right.
The mating dance.
And we're doing that from a male, essentially. Aggressive is probably the wrong word. It's an intention. There's an intention of pursuit to try and pursue that which we think may be pursuable.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we are taking action. We are actively are self-selecting. We are being engaged with intent to go see what it is that apparently on some scale, on some level, we've engaged and experienced something that it makes us curious, that
Yes.
makes it that we resonate with, right? We go, I'm thinking, this feels pretty good. I want to go see more of that. Because what do we all do when you have something that you like? That Tim McGraw song, I like it, I love it, I want some more
Want
of it,
some more of it.
right? And that's what we do.
Right.
So while that's engaged, while that whole systems state is engaged, we're like, all of a sudden we're in this thing, and we're pretty simple and linear, like we said earlier. That kind of energy is in our psyche and in our what we see. We pursue it. We go. It's just it's a natural attraction. While that's going on, there's the fear, the tremble, the scare,
Yes.
the oh my God, exact opposite.
Yes.
Right? So simultaneously, at the same time, we were holding two thoughts. I want that, but I'm scared.
I'm scared
to death of it. Right?
That's very true. That's very true. I think guys tend to be afraid of women. We are afraid,
I
and
think
that's
there's truth in that.
Now, Leslie said earlier. She said, when I was younger, she said we always waited for the guy to make the first move, but I think, Leslie, even when the guys made the first move, it was because they felt they had a very clear signal from the woman or the girl, such as it may be, that they were open to having the guy make their move. And so there you go.
Well, and I grew up in the 70s in Los Angeles. I turned 13 in 1970. So my entire adolescence and teenage was the decade of the 70s.
Yes.
In Los Angeles, Southern California, right?
Boom,
So
boom, boom, boom.
I'm telling you what, I was
Morgan Snow ain't that the truth. Sorry.
The more that I can recall of it, and there are always new pieces flying in, something triggers something and pattern recognition happens. But every time I remember something, it's like, wow. I mean, it was almost like it wasn't a different era. It was a different time. In the same kind of place.
Yeah.
But that's when all this, free love, drugs, fuck the government, leave us alone. The
You're
whole
talking early 70s. So
yeah, this is the original liberal perspective of fuck the man and fuck everybody else, leave us alone. We want to do what we want to do. Consenting adults and all of that, right?
Yes.
Which is what humanity is based on, is consension between two individuals.
The height of the flower children.
Hey, Melinda Biddle just said, "You're overthinking it. Shut up and kiss me."
Yeah.
But I'm
there's
just
a hidden message in there somewhere. There's something subliminal in that. I can't quite make it out.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to follow up on that. So, but my point is that there's been a carefully crafted and curated narrative that is designed to give people an opinion about certain aspects of life, like these multiple genders, like these there is all these different things that are antithetically not true. They are just not scientifically, physically, commonsensically, or any other way true. Yet it's been positioned that because it has been defined, and there are those who have adopted it, that seem to have a lot of, let's just say, some mental and emotional challenges that they should probably have looked at by professionals. There is a cognitive displacement, not a dissonance. There's a displacement of reality that has been taken over by an emotional and mental perspective Oh, and they're trying to impose that to the physical reality where it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I was going to tie that back to the men and the women thing. Hold on a second. I'll find it again. But it had, the idea is that because of the dislocation of reality from what we all in this, what I call the common frequency field of reality that we all share, that habitation has got shit being dropped in and balls and things being put in the way, disrupting the flow, disturbance in the flow and the force, right? But it's so weak and it's so incompatible with the reality that when it gets in there, it gets bounced around, causes some chaos, bumps into shit and whatever, and then just gets ejected because it can't function in there. So when we look at how, okay, now I think I got it. So when we look at how we think of this whole men and women, the differences, but the incredibles. I mean, can you imagine a more perfect manifestation of the opposite of a man or a woman than a man or a woman?
Oh, no, you can't.
I mean, seriously, come on. The raw and the real of that manifestation is just, it's magic. It's amazing.
I've often said that God's greatest gift to man is woman.
Oh, I thought you had more.
No, no, I'm serious. I'm serious. And as an artist, there is no sexier point than that little curve of the coming down the back and hitting the gluteus maximus. So when you're drawing that little S curve, every time I draw that, I just go, oh, shudder.
Oofta. I have my favorite parts of a female form. It doesn't always necessarily mean sexual organs or sexual bits and pieces.
Dude. I thought this was one of the things that I had to overcome in my realization of my experience in this iteration with all of the women in my life. They have all, like I said last night, strong-headed, strong-willed, on my ass, getting shit from my grandmothers to my daughters and my extended daughters and all the relationships in between and since. Every one of them is just, I'm like, why don't I attract these women that are on my ass all the time? And they're really good at it. I mean, well, relatively speaking, they all have their quirks, but the point is they're all like, I'm like, well, I'd like to just kind of lay back and chill, which would be kind of nice once in a while. But but these were all karmic agreements in the way I see it that I had to complete. And I feel like that is, part of the reasons, of the many reasons I'm here in this iteration, is to clear those out. And I feel like it did. So once I got resolved of that, now my appreciation of women it's no longer fear. It's like, oh my God. I mean, it's like,
yeah.
It's much different. And so there's a liberation from all of that tie jerking, eye lipping, pooching stuff that we do from a herd hunter mentality, right?
Yes.
Now, it's like, okay, this is what you get.
Yes.
This is what it is. All of its flaws, all of its stuff, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the amazing that is yet to be. This is it. And there can't be. And when I actually, it was back in the 80s when I started doing shiatsu work and got introduced to traditional Chinese medicine and different philosophies for well-being. And then in the 90s, when I discovered Tai Chi and adopted the Taoist philosophy, that was just look out. Well, once I had that liberation, and I put it in the chat earlier, once you accept that which you have and are, then accept it for what it is, for yourself, not anybody else, for yourself. That's the most important thing. Once you accept that, then not only can no one use it against you, but you can use it in your favor, because you can maximize that which is that you have that is inherent, innate. It's inherent. It's nature and habit of the frequency signature that you are. Those are the characteristics of your. So, and you can see this when you notice people. You can tell that they're authentic. They're comfortable in who they are. They give no fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it can be from anybody who has that to someone who has things like fuck you money that can just say, well, I'm sorry, there is no material impact you can make on me because of my substantial assets and wealth, which is the same
she
thing
had
as someone,
grand assets and wealth.
right? But that's just a different definition of those same things. If you don't have that, the fuck you money, you have yourself. You have your self-being. You have your selfness. That's where the wealth is.
Okay.
But I ask you, is there anything? Is there anything?
My wife would go,
yeah, there was a mic drop right there.
The money would be nice.
No, I'm serious though. But I ask you, is there anything sexier than just an intelligent, witty woman?
Yes, but I like intelligent, sexy women too.
That's like, well, don't take this wrong, ladies. I know it's going to sound weird, but that's like icing on the cake.
Yeah. See,
Yeah,
I've
right?
had the stupid little blonde. I much prefer the intelligent woman.
Dave had the stupid little blonde, and she was hot and perky in all the right places, and dumb as a rock. I'm sorry, Dave.
No, she was. She's not on here tonight. I don't care.
Dude, we all know why. Dave was, I think, 40, and she was like 19. Dave, we understand. We get it. We know why. And congrats. Hey, high five. But
hey, in my defense, I met her in a bar. I thought she was 21.
Yeah,
man.
I thought she was 20. See, he met her so long ago when she was 19. It was before the age change from 18 to 21. So, anyway, and she is. I have encountered this person, and I'd be willing to bring her on the show and talk to her about it, about how dumb she is. So, I don't mean to sound judgmental. Sorry, ladies. It's not for any other reason other than she's just not got all her dogs barking. So there you go.
Well, so let's try to bring it back to this whole thing of, the body language of a male, right?
Yes.
Right. Because that's what you started the show with.
I still have more points I haven't covered.
Oh, Jesus. What do we need more, really?
Not really.
Unless they're of the humorous nature, because there are things. That whole reaching down and doing the sock thing. I had like 4 jokes, and I erased them all.
I've never done the sock thing. I don't get that. I've taken women's shoes off and given them foot massages, of which I'm very talented. I know a lot of dancers, and I know how to please women with their feet. But
that was the other thing I was going to say. We were talking about the Scotty. You made the point of men are attracted to other things on women besides the TNA, right? Yeah. I'm a hand and foot and ankle man. Oh my God. Just makes me go, oh, okay, you can have me.
I'm a firm believer that my beautiful wife, with all of her attributes, has incredibly sexy feet. Now, I'm not a foot fetish guy. It's not like
I don't have a fetish either, but
that's not the kind of guy I am. But she had sexy feet, and it started because she would wear a ring on one of her toes. And the first time I saw her long, slender, well-shaped feet with perfect pedicure and a ring on her toe, I was like, take me to your leader. And,
I know.
So, right? But, I appreciated that about her. By the way, some of the other things on this list, I had he'll touch his face a lot while looking at you. He'll stroke his cheek and up and down the back of his fingers, touch his ears, rub his chin. It's a combination of all this nervous excitement that a guy can have. Preening. It's this autoerotic touching. And when you're attracted to someone, our skin, most noticeably our lips and our mouth, they become increasingly sensitive to touch and other stimulation. Like,
Imagine that.
And if you smoke, you'll take more drags of your cigarette.
You should put out the fire.
If you're drinking, yeah, well, let me get that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
You'll
combust
take
there.
more sips. You start touching your own mouth more because your lips are ultra sensitive. It feels good. Plus, it plants the idea in the other person's mind that it could be a good idea to kiss you. There's all these subconscious signals that we give off. The 14th one was he's going to start squeezing his glass or rolling it.
Is that what you're calling it?
Slightly squeezing it as he goes. So when men are interested, they start playing with circular objects, believe it or not.
That sounds James Bondish. I don't know.
Yes. Shaken, not stirred.
And rolled and
I'm going to sit here and
rolled
click my
and
pen.
fondled.
Why do men start playing with circular objects when they're sexually interested? They remind him of your breasts, believe it or not. His body is leaking what's happening in his subconscious mind. It's like, oh, my little flower. Yes.
Carry on, dear, while I juggle these peaches.
Wait, who was it that asked me? June Shasta. June Shasta asked for this. She said, oh, you are my peanut butter. No, I am your peanut butter. You are my jelly. Come, let us make a sandwich together. I was supposed to be Pepe Le Pew, but I lost the French in there somewhere.
But you kept the pew.
I kept the pew. The Le Pew. Okay, the 15th thing is he'll perch on the edge of his seat to get closer to you. You ever seen a guy do that? You're talking and he'll be like, yeah, uh-huh.
Well, I've seen that, but if I'm with a woman and in the past and I was perched on the edge of my seat, that was pure escape.
Yes,
posture. I was like, if I got to bail, I'm out right here.
Yeah. Now, you know what
I've
conditioned myself over the years. Now, this is, of course, before I met Rainey. So, but even now, when I'm in settings where you could possibly have these encounters that come and go like that with the body language, I've just said to myself, and I said a long time ago, I'm just going to be in control of my faculties. I'm going to be cool about it. And I wasn't quite as confident. Even when I met Rainey, I wasn't confident. You know, she walked by, as I've told the story many times, she walked by me in the bar. Dave, you know, she had the little, it wasn't a bustier, but a thing that...
Corset?
I don't think it was corset, but it was a modern version of. And it was red, and it, you know, the like tapestry red, and it pushed everything up of what she already had very good things of. And then she had on the little...
She was dressed for success.
She was. And she had the little black sweater on, you know, that only comes down to the rib cage, and it's open, and the sleeves pushed up, and she's got the bracelets and all of this, and the hair and the perfect. And she walked by, and I was like, hi, Renee. Got the name wrong. And and what was the body language there? The body language for her was hi. But
she was in full Olsen mode, and she didn't care if you called her Carol. She was yours that night,
dude. Yeah, we still hit it off. But yeah. Anyway, so Rennie says, "Oh, hi." Is she here? So I've told this story in front of her before. So
yep.
So it's like the pregnancy story. You've heard that one, haven't you, Professor Bauer? I was in Egypt for a month. I got home, said our highs and all that. We had kids, you know, we only had the first two. Flynn and Rowan, and I'm down at the computer in the morning in my office catching up on emails. I'm sitting here, tap, 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 tap. Rennie comes down the stairs, stark naked. And she goes, kids are watching cartoons. You got 8 minutes, buddy. And I was like, yes, I can do it twice. And okay, so the normal thing happened there. Give it about a couple of weeks. On my computer again. She comes back downstairs and she's got something in her hand.
An attitude in her eyes.
An attitude in her eyes. It looked like a pen. And she walks up to me. She's fully dressed this time. She sticks it in my face. And she goes, what does that look like to you? I was like, why, that's a pregnancy test. And she said, what's it say? And I said, it's a little red cross means you're positively not pregnant. She throws it on my desk and she goes, I thought you were going to take care of this problem. And I said, I went to see the doc. We talked about it. We were going to schedule it. I said, I'll call him right now. She goes, too late, mister. Too late.
I did take care of the problem. You're not empty anymore.
That's right. That's where Ellery came from, my now 7-year-old. So she came out of, we sat for like three days. I sat like, I was like, fuck. It's not that, and I've said this before, it's not the beauty of the new life that's brewing in my wife's belly. It's not the gloriousness of having another child, beautiful child into this world. It was the having another kid.
And this is the point that we were making last night. It's not.
What's this look like to you, June?
It's the sex is the normal part of our biology and our being. The results. I mean, think about it. Sex leads to pregnancy. Pregnancy leads to abortion. Sex leads to marriage. What's the biggest cause of divorce? Marriage. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, if
100% of divorced people were married. That's true.
Well, you're right. I mean, it's indisputable.
You can't deny those statistics.
Right. That's my point. So sex is something that has consequences. If you're having sex because you want sex, but you don't want a pregnancy, you don't want an abortion, you don't want a marriage, then you got to figure out how to do sex with that and mitigate all that shit.
Yep.
Okay. So that's why sex, it's one of the many reasons.
That's true, Iowa. I've seen that before.
Is so, it's so fundamental. That's why prostitution is the biggest or the oldest profession on the planet, because everybody wants some sex. They don't want a pregnancy. They don't want a marriage. They want some fucking sex. And because sex is so innate, you can't control it. So any attempt to control it ends up creating more bullshit. It's like, the war on drugs. What did that do? Created more drugs. The war on, I'm thinking, they need to do a war on naked women on street corners.
There you go.
That there would be naked women on street corners everywhere.
Everywhere.
So my point is that trying to control the innate nature of how we biologically and chemically function has resulted in a whole bunch of bullshit caused by people who think that who have adopted this narrative of there needs to be control of this. No, people need to fuck as they please.
Pretty much.
They need to define their own morals and ethics and parameters and safety and definition and everything else around what seems to be at least acceptable, which at a minimum is if two people engage in an agreement to exchange physical favors for whatever the hell it is they want, why is that illegal? Why is that something that needs to be managed? Because it controls, the Freudian, the beast, right?
Yeah.
And you're not going to control that. Look at the Catholic Church and the priests. I mean, look at everywhere that anytime there's been an attempt to control the innate physical nature and habit of our biology, it's ended in nothing but a fucking disaster.
That's very true.
And until it's let loose and people are allowed.
Sean.
Nice one, Sean.
There it is.
Until people are liberated from these boxes and cages and rules and regulations and all this other bullshit, all we're going to have is just one fucking problem and disaster after another, from one newly created group to the next newly created group, the next identity, the next delineation of shit that somebody finds themselves in, because somebody has decided that on your behalf, we're going to take up your victimhood by our virtuousness that we will define and we will give to you so that you can fight along with us. But we're going to start this fight for you. I mean, it's so fucking obvious. It's like, are you kidding me? In Iran.
Yes.
Sorry.
I agree. So, yeah. It's logical sense to me. I always wondered why should it matter if a man or a woman wants to charge somebody to have sex with them?
I've never understood that either. That is, making that a crime is like,
I don't.
What's the point?
Not that I would go out and use that. I'm not somebody who wants to go buy it somewhere. But I'm saying, what about the people who need
So
that?
are you saying that you're not in favor of sex therapy?
Oh, I am. Sex therapy is very therapeutic.
There's therapeutics in the therapy, I got to tell you.
Yes.
That. No, but
no problem with sex therapy. I have a problem with government telling you that you don't have the right to, because let's say you can't attract a woman, or you don't want to attract a woman, or whatever. Why can't you go pay for it if you need it?
Man or woman. I think that again, this is government intruding on your body.
Yes, it is.
Back off, Uncle Sam. I don't need it.
That's it.
See, to me, it goes back to again, I like.
Good night, Leslie Holker. She's got to go to bed.
Good night, Leslie.
Night, Les.
This goes to one of the things that to me is really important. And that's, the thinking process.
Mm-hmm.
And there are different models and different ways that thought happens, but also the way that that people think about it. And for me, the easiest one is first principles. And the first principles means you're getting to the nut of the nugget. What is the fucking fundamental bottom line, a little metric set that identifies that which you're trying to understand?
Mm-hmm.
Clear out all the other crap, because God knows there's going to be people putting whatever they want that they need for whatever reason, nefarious or, malevolent or benevolent, doesn't matter. There's always constant packaging of the nugget for some purpose. Okay. The most important one is adding to actual data that enhances it for what it is, not for what it needs to, what somebody's trying to manipulate it into. So this whole thing about being able to have an exchange of value, and this is first principles fundamental thinking. What happens when somebody has something that they are willing to let go of in exchange for something that you have that you're willing to let go of?
Sure.
That you both find of equal value. The value is defined by the one-to-one relationship.
And I think the one placing the price tag on it should be the one to determine whether or not it is the right thing to do.
That's negotiated between the two individuals.
Negotiable thing between two individuals.
So the most fundamental way, again, going to first principles thinking, is What is an example of that in reality? It's the barter system.
Yeah, and you know what?
And what is the barter system? I
It's
got
marriage.
pigs, you got chickens. I got pigs, you got chickens. I
Yeah.
want some chickens, you want some pigs. You and I'd agree on how many of those
But I gotta
are.
use that one for my wife. Let me write that down. I got the pigs, you got the chickens. Let's strike a deal.
So my point
Sherry
is
Yusuf
that
said, "Oh, go ahead."
my point is that there's an understanded the hell there's an under there's a
It's okay, Professor. We won't tell your students.
thank you, because they may use it and then I'll have to go do some Wikipedia shit.
If one of them says understand it to you in class, then you'll know they were watching this.
I understand you.
We understood that. Okay.
What did I say? Oh,
What was I understanding? But my point is that it's an agreed, negotiated value of exchange.
Mhm.
That's the fundamental. It doesn't matter what it is. It only matters to the two people exchanging. When you go back, tens, multiple millenniums into what we at least know, and there's, I think, a shitload more out there. It goes back way back, but that's another discussion.
Mhm.
All of those systems that we have been able to at least interpret with what we think we know of the metrics demonstrated this entire system of exchange. We are the one of the fundamental aspects of the universe that we inhabit, in my opinion, in my observation, is that it's a transactional universe. There is always a creation and a consumption, and there are cycles of that. There are gazillions, trillions, a universe of cycles that are within cycles, and that information has seemed to have been extremely important to a lot of people for a very long time, because they manage their shit based off this mathematical cosmological knowledge.
Sure.
So that's where you have the pattern recognition of the shit that has happened, is happening, and at least has a propensity to happen
What is
again.
yet to come.
Right?
Yes.
So that was a shiny little object just kind of went by there. Let me see if I can come back to where we were, because the point is, the value and exchange of value is something that used to be defined by the individuals involved, not the systems.
Mm-hmm.
The ability
value is based on individual transaction, not the system telling you what the individual transaction should or should not be.
Those engaged in the transaction are the ones that determine the value.
Mm-hmm.
As it should be, and
it are the ones that should call the shots, in other words.
So that's what barter was and is still. The barter system is the way that these civilizations, that at least the ones that we know of and we've sort of interpreted, and we've kind of gotten, kind of looks like this. They say that, maybe they mean this, all that bullshit. It's all speculation. Mm-hmm. It's all speculation.
Sure.
From quantum physics to the metaphysics to the physics, and the ethereal to the material, it's all speculation. It's just anybody's idea and their interpretation, and being able to define it, delineate it, and express it. Yes. Outside of that, it doesn't matter what it is. It's all speculation. So what are we are all speculators. We're all observers. Yeah. When we look at how do we exchange freely as individuals to one another in that barter system, in that agreed value metrics, it's really bizarre, especially because I'm a geezer geek. But it looks like technology is actually what's going to enable that. which is really fucked up because you could see it. There's a whole lot of ways that can be taken and, with malintent and nefarious bullshit and everything else to control it and take advantage of it, which is what's going on right now, but most people don't realize. And it's been there for a long time, which most people don't realize. But this coming capability in a technology stack, this thing called blockchain, and having the inherent chain of custody, intellectual property, and sovereignty of self, meaning you, me, them, everyone else, your identity is going to be your currency. And it actually is now. Because if you think about everything that you do from a financial perspective, probably 80 or 90% of it is done electronically, right?
I'm going to tell you something. I maintain that the best thing that could happen to this planet is a solar flare that takes down the grid everywhere and nothing works anymore. And we're forced to go back to horse and carriage.
But we have an advantage, Scotty, because of our background in training.
We do. I would love to see us go back to where we don't even have phones. If you want to talk to your neighbor, you got to walk over there and talk to him, and or whatever. So yeah.
Well, you said that you said horse and carriage, and I thought horse and carnage.
There could be that too.
Well, there's that too,
because that's one of the things. I moved to a homestead in Canada back in 1979 because I had to get out of LA after growing up in the 70s in LA in the most idyllic time you could probably ever imagine in a place on earth.
Sure.
Right. And I had to get out. So I bailed.
I lived in North Hollywood for a while and I had to get out. I didn't stay. I thought that was where I wanted to be. I grew up thinking if I could only be in LA. And I always saw New York as cold and dismal, and LA was the golden sunshine, and that's where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
When I got out there and I moved into North Hollywood, and I was there for a few years and said, "Oh, this is fucked up. I got to go."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it got too crazy for me, and so I went and lived on 160 acres.
Oh, that's my dream now.
Oh my God, it was. I got spoiled.
Get me outside of the city, give me some acreage and a Tudor home or a castle, and I'm fine.
I got 25% there. I had 40 acres. So,
well, I mean, so my other point there was, I really do think that in spite of the obvious challenges and nefarious activity that could go on, I think that what we're going to see through this technology reveal and new plug-in kind of stuff is going to be really awesome. And it's going to, at a minimum, the capability to do the exchange of value between in a peer-to-peer situation model. There'll be different things that there'll be less of that interference than there is now, and it will be more secure. And the really important thing is that in spite of the idea of the whole, mark of the beast, the chip, the identification, it's all, you are biometrically defined and authenticated wherever you go. Yeah, that I would like that capability. I don't want the monitoring.
Melinda says she has a lake.
Huh?
Yes, she does.
Melinda says she has a lake.
Yes, she does.
Got a lake. Yes,
she's up there in paradise right now.
Melinda, do you like Italian food?
She's an amazing cook, I can tell you that.
Yep. You should
Amazing.
know.
Oh,
She's
fucking
gonna
amazing.
meet an Italian, an excellent cook.
There you go. I think she's spoken for.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I wasn't sure if I could say anything about that. But,
Melinda and I partnered and put together the Mindwear apparel, and
Oh,
she's like one of the most amazing women I didn't even know existed. So yeah, there you go.
he did his rodeo dance for Yippee-ki-yay, yippee-ki-yay. That was Professor Bauer.
You know what mine is? What mine has become is that I try to stumble less.
Try to stumble less. Yeah.
Yes.
By the way, the rodeo dance doesn't work in a chair.
no.
You stand up for that, but it would have hurt.
I'm going to say this, and I said this last night in the text in the chat room, but the three of us and Niall should put a show together called The Four Horsemen. We would kill it. Interesting conversation every night.
Could be.
You know, I feel there are times when I have this sense that I am a horse, I have been a stallion, and I've been ridden.
And
Put away wet.
put up wet.
I've been left wet. They didn't put it up. They just leaned me over.
We'll lean them up against
Why don't you
here.
just lay right here and dry off?
There it is. So yeah, I don't know if that's an age thing or a. So
Well, I got to tell you. So let me just throw this little nugget out there because Dave, I think that your idea of doing like a four horseman kind of thing would be kind of a freewheeling, holy fuck ride for all, and
Yeah.
and I would enjoy that very much.
it could be interesting.
But let me throw this little nugget out because this could be something we could throw at the horseman. Time travel, and I'm going to preface, or I'm going to say, so time travel, the thought of traveling in time, right? Because that's the whole
Time travel.
yeah, it's got different connotations and different ways it's expressed, but at a minimum, it means a displacement from now to somewhere else.
I think I understand where you're going with this. Different people going different places at different times.
I got that faster than you could say Bob's your uncle.
And that would require you to be either in time or out of time.
Out of time.
I'm usually late,
Right?
just like Rainey.
Yeah, but you're I would call that, I refer to my punctuality as fluid time.
Fluid time. Yes.
Yeah. Because to me, fluid is time is fluid, and sometimes fluid is time. It depends on the previous conversation we were having. So
I will tell you, I forevermore want Rainey to be on time.
whether you are or not.
That's right. No,
So
she did that to me last month. She goes, I'm late. I said, why? Where'd you have to go? She said, I'm late. And I went,
no, not that.
no. That's not possible. She said, I am, though. And so she was like a week late. She had no idea why. So that's what I meant by, Rainey doesn't want to be.
I think the phrase was, you snip them or I'll crush them.
That was back in, when was that? She got pregnant with Ellery in 2014. No, Ellery was born in December of 2014. So it was early 2014. I came home from Egypt in January of 2014, or February, early February, something like that. So yeah, there it is. 8 minutes of bliss.
So
Kind of like a modified rodeo.
so let me try to.
You can hang on for 8 seconds.
I want
You
to
win
throw a
the
little.
Yeehaw.
Yeah. So I want
Yes, you will,
to.
June Shasta, or the Empress of the Universe, one of the two.
So here's my premise on time travel. Okay.
One of my favorite subjects.
I love time travel.
And it has a direct correlative causative connection to consciousness.
Okay.
Okay. So time travel. One of the things that you would want to have as evidentiary to that concept is an experience of your own.
Okay.
Right. But which is true about anything.
Sorry, you keep going. I was just reading a comment. All I can say to you, Iowa X, I said to my doctor, is that little curl of smoke just supposed to come out of there? Anyway.
So,
Doc.
an evidentiary experience is the only thing that we all have that we can depend on, because those things we know within ourselves.
Okay.
They are the definition of the original term of knowledge, which is gnosis, and gnosis meaning not just an awareness of, but a feeling in your bones. A sense. It's like something, that's what gnosis is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that evidentiary experience is something that the only thing we can all and any of us rely on for framing our reality and how we navigate through it, right? Well, time has these interesting aspects of holding a thought of now while being or thinking and experiencing something of somewhere in time and space that's not now.
So you're not talking about literal time travel. You're talking about time travel in the mind.
I'm talking about the yes.
I do that every day.
Right. Okay. And so yes and no. Yes, what I'm saying is that time travel in the mind is where time travel is. It's not a physical manifestation of an awareness. You can like, if you have like things like bilocation, astral travel, even in the most important, the overall category is non-local consciousness.
I do believe if you can astral project or do
you should be able to time travel with it.
You should be able to then pick a destination in time and go back to that or forward to that.
Can they do that already? Do astral travelers already do that? Astral projection?
Well, that's what remote viewing is.
Yeah,
remote viewing.
That's remote viewing.
Or are you stuck in the here and the now?
No, because they see things that are going to come to be. The question is, can you go back and get good enough evidentiary things of things that have already been?
See,
that you can
I
then
want
verify.
to be able to time travel. This whole in my mind thing. Okay, cool. I do that all the time, so to speak. I want to time travel with my camera. I want to be able to go take pictures of stuff. I want to bring back artifacts.
Well, and I'm extremely intrigued by the stories of such where people say, I went back in time and I met myself when I was 20 or whatever, or I went ahead in time and met myself when I was 40 and such. There's a couple of cases out there that float around the internet, and of course it's on the internet. You never know.
Well, so Dave, let's use some first.
But they are interesting stories to be sure.
Yeah, let's use some first principles on what you just described. So there are people that have said that they've gone, whether through portals or some kind of psychic experience or astral experience, in a conscious mental state, not a brain state, but in a mental conscious state.
Yeah. The one
they've
guy
had
claims
this
that he went through a
experience.
portal and he has photographic evidence of meeting himself.
Right.
Um,
And then you have another layer. You have Project Looking Glass. You have technology and a whole bunch of money and data. Andrew Basagio has
Yep.
got some of the most. The guy is,
Sure.
I mean, so you can tell that whether he's lying or not, he fucking believes what he.
This is the guy that supposedly has a picture of himself at the Brooklyn Bridge in the 1800s. Is this the guy you're talking about?
Yeah, this is at Lincoln's and Gettysburg Address.
Yes, Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I've listened to all of it.
Kate and Leopold.
And I've
The
looked
movie.
at it and I'm going, I don't see any fraud here at all. And it's a fucking wild story. But
yeah,
if it is indeed, I mean, right now there's no evidence to prove or disprove. The possibility, the potentiality of that actually happening got my attention.
So I want to tell you a
Going,
story.
okay.
So years ago, I used to do the third shift at Kinko's. And so we listened to Art Bell every night because
nice.
Literally it was on pretty much our entire shift, and it was one continuous show, and it was always something interesting to listen to.
Did you get any Jeff Rents back then too?
Yep.
Jeff Rents. I don't know if I recognize that name.
Oh yeah, okay. Never mind.
Anyways, in this call-in, he left a line open for time travelers, which he did from time to time.
Yep.
And on this particular night, this guy called in. Now this is during Clinton's second term, I think, to put it in a time frame.
Okay.
And so Art Bell had a series of questions. This guy called in. He was from the future. He part of a military project, and he was sent back here to have our government make some changes in things they were doing to avoid a major civil war that was going to happen. And had this thing. There was an attack on our country, and tens of thousands were killed, and blah blah blah. So he says, Art says, okay, let me just ask you some questions. Who's the president? He says George Bush. He says George Bush is going to be president again? No, his son is president. And so I'm just listening to this. This is, interesting things, and he's giving him questions, and this guy's throwing stuff out there, and he says, where does this attack take place? So it takes place in New York. And what is it? He goes, I can't go into too much detail because we have to be careful how we change the future, because we don't want to completely disrupt our future. But he said, I'm here to talk to the government so that they can make changes so that the tens of thousands that are supposed to die won't die. Right?
All right.
And he says they attack New York. Several buildings are destroyed. Tens of thousands of people are killed, blah, blah, blah. It launches us into this huge war. And so at the time, I'm not thinking too much about it. Well, time goes forward in reality, and George Bush is elected. And 9/11 happens, and my brain snaps back to that radio call, and I went through all the archives trying to find that night, and I could not find it.
Really?
Okay. And I remember that morning when the towers were coming down, and the networks at the time were going, well, there should be 30,000 people in those buildings by this time of the morning. And the speculation was the deaths were going to be in the tens of thousands. And the only reason it didn't happen is because for some strange reason, many of those companies were told not to report for work that morning by their employees.
About 9/11?
9/11.
Yeah.
And so what should have been tens of thousands of deaths turned out to be 5,000 or so.
The anomalies and the variables in that whole scenario are legion. They are wide, they are deep, they are disconnected.
I understand all that, but
there's some crazy
the fact that some guy would call in back during Clinton's presidency and have this whole story that Bush was going to get elected, no one saw that coming out of the future.
Have you seen the one about the dinner in in Russia where this woman, I think it was in the
Early
if I can-
1900s. The
no.
girl that shows up.
This is I think in the 80s, and it was recorded, and she basically said the whole infiltration of the intelligence and political infrastructure of the United States is already done. The president that we will kick this off with will be black. His name is Obama, and this is what will happen. I mean, and then there's the Russian counter spy guy who came in the late 70s. He defected, and he said, here's how we're going to take over the United States of America. And it was all in the social and the education, changing the minds, creating a new ideology and paradigm so that they will grow up into being what we want them to be. That was the strategy. It's so Sun Tzu. I mean,
yeah. Well,
yes,
that's
so it's interesting. Passaggio in his travels, he met Obama as well.
Okay.
And he also, his travel was when he was a teen in the early 70s, I believe. So they jumped him back and forth, not only in time, but they just did by location. So they would essentially teleport from one location in the south up to the facility in the northeast. And it's like, okay. And then there's a chronovisor, which allows you to see, you can see it, you're not in it. So when I said time travel, to me, one of the most powerful and reliable, dependable experiences of time travel is with music. When I hear something that I grew up with,
that's mental.
It just
that's
I go to that time, and I am in that time
travel.
in the most real way that I've ever been exposed.
But you did better acid than us. You were in LA.
You did have good shit. Yeah. but that's my point. I mean, music, because I'm a musician as well. I've always said that if I wasn't a human being, I'd be a note looking for a tune to play on. Because
food can do that for me as a chef.
Yeah.
Certain things specific things that my grandparents taught me to cook and things like that when I was real little. Boom! I smell that aroma and I transported back to my grandma's house. You know, that whole thing. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, to me, so that to me is my most dependable, reliable, authentic experience with time travel. And you know, and that what that does is it triggers this memory process where I can relive it. All kinds of other things do the same thing, but the most instant, reliable, and dependable is, I heard that. I can hear a song. I can hear 2 notes of a song, and I'm there.
Mm-hmm. That's not. But the thing is, that's not literal time travel. That's mental or emotional time travel.
Yeah, there's
memory time travel. When we talk about time travel, I want to travel through time. I want to go somewhere. And I can transport myself in a heartbeat back to certain things because of my memory. But
I want to put on my boots and breeches and grab my sword and go. Yeah, I get you.
That type of thing. Exactly. So,
but I also think about the fact that at some point they're going to look at the bottom of my soles and go, "There's a witch."
Yeah.
Burn him.
Let's burn him.
No. It's just rubber. It's okay. It's okay. Everybody calm down. I had it made for me by a cobbler in Denmark. Note the orange inset. It's
Then the alarm goes off on your cell phone in your pouch.
yeah. Like the pager in my pocket during the sword fight when I stepped into the puddle and I thought I was being electrocuted. Yeah.
Well, gents, I'm going to call this earlier than midnight tonight. Because I got to be up bright and early tomorrow.
You've only been live for 2 hours and 19 minutes. 4 a.m. 4 a.m. 4 a.m.
4 a.m. 4 a.m. That's when I have to get up.
Yeah, I have to go back and slay the mercury-based technology demons that have been plaguing me for the and it's like, it's almost like, first of all, when energy cycles have certain characteristics and when they wax and they wane, because that's what they do, right?
Yeah.
And most of them are pretty fucking dependable. It's like, that one's coming. Let's keep an eye out. Well, here it is. Look at the shit. So I'm here to tell you that it's now gotten to the point where, look, I know you're coming. I'm kind of ready, right? And it's almost like it's a challenge now.
Yes.
It's like, you're used to this. You see me coming, really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're gonna throw some of this at you and see what you get. And it's almost like a game. It's like universe, it's like you're playing, tennis or ping pong or something.
Sure.
Boom, boom. So,
Iowa X said he doesn't want to go back in time because there's no quickie stop with cold beer. I'm just saying, if you can travel in time, you can be cooler.
That's right.
I got my Yeti. So, all right,
go forward in time, and they have instant beer out of machines. That's good.
That's right. Replicators.
There you go. I'm looking for the replicator. Just
me too. I just want the holodeck.
Let me have
I want the holodeck. Then I don't have to time travel.
Yeah, I think the holodeck is the future. And think about it. If you were really on a long voyage like that, wouldn't you want a holo transmitter in your own crew quarters?
Yes,
wouldn't that make life better for your crew?
That would make life a lot better.
I think of like Tuvok, who's so far away from his wife. He could have his wife in his quarters every night if he wanted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or the wife of his choice every night in his quarters.
The wife of his choice every night. So if you're having
and if you're on a long, prolonged space voyage, to me that would ease the sanity level of all the crew.
There it is.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think that makes great sense.
All right, guys, I'm going to cut this off.
All right, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure, Dave. Thank you very much.
Oh, we should get together and talk time travel again.
I like your ideas.
Let's talk about it in more detail.
Let's saddle up and go ride some.
Sounds good. All right, guys. Good night. All right, everybody. We're going to get out of here. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking your time and spending it with me and my friends. That means a lot to me. So you all take it easy. You have a good night. And I will see you on the morrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Good night. Live long and prosper.